Ukraine has documented almost 160,000 war crimes and crimes of aggression. Ukraine's allies, including the US, have led the way in helping Ukraine to document these atrocities. But President Trump says not a word about that. In light of the shameful position of US President Donald Trump, who appears ready to sell out Ukraine, it is critically important that Canada and EU leaders develop a united path forward. It is in our collective security interest to do so. It should now be crystal clear to the EU and other NATO leaders that the United States under President Trump is no longer a reliable ally, not in the defense of Ukraine's freedom and not as a member of the NATO alliance. Trump's daily threats of making Canada a 51st state are in fact threats to Canada's sovereignty. Who would have imagined a world in which a NATO member and a member of the UN Security Council would threaten other NATO members? Ukraine-adjacent NATO countries have worried for a long time that Article 5 would not protect them in the event of an attack by Russia on, say, Poland or one of the Baltic countries. They now know that they will be abandoned. In fact, some have suggested an amendment to the NATO Charter removing protection of Article 5 from countries which joined NATO after 1997. And yet, the leaders who gathered in Paris this week left the room wringing their hands about what to do next. If the events of the past week aren't enough for Canadian and European leaders to finally wake up to the dangers that we face, then what will be? It is essential that Canada and European allies dedicate far more resources to our collective defense and to supplying Ukraine with armaments and ammunition. For a start, the $300 billion of frozen Russian assets must be confiscated immediately and used to arm Ukraine. Second, Canada needs to invest far, far more in its own security. The commitment of 2% GDP on defense spending, a target to which we committed but have not yet met, is now totally outdated. Our defense will require a far greater investment, 3% or more. Finally, and most importantly, let us not underestimate or forget the resolve, determination, and creativity of the Ukrainian people. 3 years ago, Russia launched a war of conquest against Ukraine. It was to last 3 days, but Kyiv didn't fall, and it remains free, resilient, and defiant. Today, we ask ordinary Canadians to do what they can to help Ukrainian people. Through initiatives like the one led by the Ukrainian Humanitarian Appeal, we ask all Canadians to help us in providing much-needed humanitarian assistance.
As Canadians, we demonstrated that when human dignity and fairness are at stake, our nation doesn't just offer sympathy. We take action. This is our moment to stand firm with Ukraine and show the world and our neighbor what Canadian values truly mean. The need is never ending in Ukraine, and Ukrainians need us. I'm proud to announce that all donations up to $1 million up until April 6th made to KONTAKT UCC Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, even the Brave Struggle campaign, will be matched by the Mihail Family Foundation, and we are very grateful to them for their support of Ukraine and support of our joint humanitarian appeal. When vulnerable communities in Ukraine need us, Canadians act. Time is now. Donate generously, and to learn more about the work that we do together under KONTAKT UCC Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal and to donate, please visit cufoundation.ca. Thank you very much.
I was horrified when I heard what President Trump in America was saying and doing, and denying the truth of the fact that Russia started this war. Russia came in and invaded. It was not an act of aggression by Ukraine. But the people of Ukraine are very strong. That's what they've kept showing us. And you know, Canadians are strong. And I think that is why Canadians have been drawn to this, and Canadians are great supporters of this whole cause and are willing to back up the people of Ukraine. And that's why I find it so disgraceful that Donald Trump can turn his back on Ukraine. I don't think the rest of the world will. I know it won't. The message is too strong. And I think all we have to do is help in any way we can. Any way we can contribute financially, emotionally, spiritually to the cause of the people of Ukraine will be worthwhile. I'd like to go back to Romeo Dallaire's words, war is not just hell, war is living hell. Let all of us Canadians help the people who are living through it in Ukraine and have been living through it for 3 years. Let them see they have our support.